taking action for you. This morning on TV 20 Detroit.
Hello, world. This is Roger Pensabene, President CEO of WJZZ Detroit Jazz Radio Entertainment, and I am here and enjoying PULSEBEAT Entertainment with Greg Dunmore.
What's happening in entertainment? From Tinseltown to the Big Apple, this is your weekly entertainment magazine with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
Pulse of a new generation, PulseBeat.tv.
This is the second annual WJZZ International Jazz Summit.
Jazz, music that is at once individualistic in its creativeness and broad in its collective expression. It is the highest form of music interpretation. Its panel this morning is Ishmael Bamer, John Bell Griffin, Marcus Elliott represents next generation of jazz, and he has covered arts, culture, and entertainment in the Detroit market longer than any other current judge in Detroit.
First of all, I'm an African ideology when you acknowledge the ancestors' special blessings are bestowed. So give a round of applause to, I'm going to say it in my Italian accent, Roger Pensabene Jr. The keeper of the flame of WJZZ.
First of all, WJZZ is iconic, and there's a little bit of history that I want you to share with us so we can get the timeline of WJZZ, but what's the timeline prior to WJZZ 1974?
Okay, so Dr. Haley Bell and Wendell Cox, they in 1955, the first black men to own a radio station, which was WCHB, Soul, Urban Soul. Then in 1959, they founded WCHD, the world's first jazz station, radio station dedicated to jazz. And they changed the call letters in March of 1974 to the iconic WJZZ.
Wow, because when we think of music legacy in Detroit, you now know the importance of not only what WJZZ means locally, but globally it's made history. And so now you're doing your second jazz symposium. Let us know what makes this second jazz symposium so outstanding.
Well, for me, other than having you here, being one of the moderators, and I mean that sincerely in doing this piece, this is our second year doing it, so that's an accomplishment in itself, that it was popular enough and successful enough to come back again. Dr. Ivory, the chancellor here of Wayne County Community College in Detroit, he welcomes us here to put on events, the WJZZ team. And it's just important to me because what it means to jazz culture globally. We take this and we stream it out, as we talked about today, using the technology and different tools. And we not only show the world what jazz is about, not just the music, but we emphasize it's a lifestyle, it's a mindset. Just like hip hop refers to a culture, everything has a culture when you follow it and you're sincere and it's a movement. The theme for this year is the Jazz Revolution. In a sense, we want to be outspoken. We want to change the status quo. We want to shake some stuff up to get jazz back at the top of the music, but also as the artistry where the men were men, where the men had style, they had class, they had a certain swagger, but they still were gentlemen and still were refined, and they thought bigger than themselves and they thought globally. So to me, that's a jazz man, that's a jazz attitude. So that's what makes it important to me. But the bottom line is we're going another year, and I look forward to the third annual event next year.
Yes, my mind more at ease, but nevertheless, why serve memories being invited on days? Could have gone, but what for? I can't take it without you.
one of many hats. We know you as just one of the best jazz vocalists, and you do R&B and you do pop, and now I know you are a vice president as a vice president of WJZZ. Now, this jazz summit is so fantastic and it's being seen by thousands of people all over the world. So let us know, being the second jazz summit, what's the importance and the theme of this year's jazz coming together of some of the greatest minds in jazz?
Our theme is legacy and heritage. And we want to make sure that that jazz still lives and breathes and is connected to our people, to our history, and to our future. You know, one of the things that Marcus and I, my husband, late Marcus Belgrave, who is the official Detroit Jazz Laureate, and one of the things that he and I used to discuss was that he had a problem keeping track of the business and still being creative. You know, because a lot of times as a creative, we have to isolate ourselves so that our creativity can flourish and we can be inspired and all of that. And sometimes the business aspect gets in the way of that. So I think that as artists, we have to understand that, yes, the creativity is where you come from, but also you need to understand the business side of this music.
The inaugural year, we were there.
Yes,
the second.
Thank you so much. PULSEBEAT. Oh my gosh. You know, Aretha said it. Aretha said that, we focus on the other media, but let's focus on the media that's always there and always on point. So thank you so much, PULSEBEAT. I mean, we appreciate you, and we know that it starts as a little seed and then it grows. In the documentary that I'm producing on Marcus, which, as I said, will be premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year, 2025, someone told me that he was like a diamond that shattered pieces all over the world. And what I would like to see is that the world understand that Detroit is a diamond that shatters pieces all over the world in every genre.
So let us know the importance of this jazz summit that WJZZ is doing.
Yeah, I think it's vital that we have these kinds of summits, international, local, regional, where we talk about jazz music and all the things that are involved with keeping this music going. So I applaud Roger and WJZZ for doing this, and this is the second one, and I was a part of the first one as a moderator, and I'll be a panelist this time around. But these types of things are really important to the continuation of this great music, as you noted so eloquently when you were doing your panel. So I think it should happen more often, know, and we got to find some way to promote it, to get the word out, so we can have more participation from artists, writers, journalists, and everybody, because it's so many moving parts to jazz. It's just not the musicians composing and playing. It's the journalists, it's the public, it's the publicists, it's the audience that makes this music what it is. So it's a whole lot of moving parts, and that's why this kind of summit is so crucial.
I'm riding with my grandson in my car, and I go, "Do you hear the violins playing? Do you hear that trombone? Can you tell the difference between a trombone and a trumpet and a saxophone?" He was like, "I know a little bit." I'm like, "That's because you got to listen to the music. And in the music today, you don't have none of that. You don't have any of that. You ain't got no violins, you ain't got no cello, you ain't got none of the piano fingers running across. You don't have that anymore. The children just don't know what they are missing."
I think jazz should be bigger than hip hop. Hip hop showed the blueprint that from nothing You can take over the world, which hip hop literally did. It's in the church now. It's in sports. You can't think of a organization or entity or a business that doesn't use hip hop when it was laughed at and rejected and all that in the beginning. And jazz was at the top, then it took a fall. We want to see jazz back at the apex of the mountain and controlling the flow of art.
PulseBeat.
All aboard!
There's a new way to travel, and it's one of the oldest forms of transportation. Travel by train. Yes, consider traveling around the United States on Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane, and you'd be surprised how many places you can go on an Amtrak. And there's no passports or IDs needed. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now. We'll book your trip and email your tickets within minutes. Skip the drive to the airport and skip the lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States. Do something new. Travel by Amtrak today. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now.
Call 855-827-5004. That's 855-827-5004. Again, 855-827-5004.
You ready to put your podcast on iHeartRadio? Yes, your podcast on iHeartRadio. What about Alexa, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, or iPhone? Plus live TV streaming. Get your podcast seen and heard all over the world. Call 313-868-6612. Pre-recorded shows are accepted to be archived. This is a WHPR distribution platform. Download the app from the App Store. Go to WHPRTV.com. Channels available for lease 24/7 on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV. Coming soon, subscription and pay-per-view.
Also,
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM WGPR HD2. RadioWeCanSee.com.
PulseBeat.
We're at the NAACP, a dinner that has been going on now for 70 years, and we're going to talk to some people that will underscore why the NAACP,
the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People,
is still a relevant organization. So stay tuned as we talk to some very insightful people. You hope that people take from this 70th dinner that should be the theme that will resonate in whoever is watching this show based on what you want this audience.
64 years ago in history is when we gained all the civil rights that we're benefiting from today. And right now today, this symbolic meeting is a reminder of what we worked so hard, our forefathers, and those folks fought and died for us to be here in these spaces. All of that is under attack right now. And so for us here collectively, we assemble here probably in the thousands, but we failed to gel together to, for example, support a black candidate, for example. We were just talking about that. Exactly. Our votes are used to the advantage of so many other people, and that's okay, but some people, they support us, but there are a lot of African-American candidates right now, just spoke to one, that are under such a microscope, they're under such pressure, and then they're not really taking it up to the level that they should be.
We are celebrating the NAACP 70th dinner, which is history-making as the largest, it's in the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest sit-down fundraising dinner. Let us know what message that you will hope that this audience will take back, that is so important to take back, especially during these very challenging times.
Well, I think it's one line that really stands out, and just being here at the NAACP Legacy Dinner, is that democracy is a practice across generations. That meaning that, you know, everything that we're seeing nationwide, what we're seeing coming out of Washington, D.C., what we're seeing and how we're seeing people treat their neighbors, is that we have to work hard. We have to work hard to keep our communities intact, and we have to work hard to keep our democracy intact as well too. And it is a process, and it is a practice that we, all of us, must continue to do.
So in representing this neighborhood, a series of neighborhoods, what is something that you hope anybody that is listening will say and know about what your leadership is going to symbolize, especially as we relate to what you do as a state representative and a woman that knows the importance of what a city council can do?
Exactly. So I represent House District 8, which really encompasses City Council District 2. It's really one of the highest voting districts in the city. We have a higher socioeconomic scale in District 2, but we also have a huge thriving business district and a cultural district. And I really want people to know that I have been their voice in District 2, and my plan, because I'm running for Detroit City Council, that I really plan to be their voice on the local level as well. All of the relationships that I've made in Lansing and all of the stakeholders, I want to bring all of that back to District 2 on the local level. Those voices I already represent because City Council District 2 sits within my House district. So what I want to do is really represent those people locally within the city of Detroit.
You cannot understand the history of Detroit without understanding the creation of Interstate 375 and the communities that it destroyed. Inequality is a policy choice. Wage disparities are a policy choice. Low home ownership is a policy choice. So, just as bad policies have gotten us into this, better policies must lead us out.
Governor Wesley Watunde Omari Moore, known to us as Governor Wes Moore, is only the third elected black governor in the history of our nation, and the first in the state of Maryland. Maryland ratified as the seventh state of the Union in 1788, whose motto today is strong deeds, gentle words. Governor Moore has indeed exemplified that. As one who graduated from Johns Hopkins University, has a master's degree from Wolfson College, an Oxford Rhodes Scholar, meaning that he's a smart brother. A captain in the United States Army, 82nd Airborne Divisions, was in the war in Afghanistan, receiving the Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the Armed Forces Reserve Medal, the Army Services Ribbon, the Bronze Star, the Combat Action Badge, the National Defense Service Medal, and Parachutist Badge. He's just a bad brother. If you don't bring none, it won't be none. He carries a big bunch, but he also has a kind word for the least of these, the lost and the neglected.
It's why just since I've been the governor, that we have invested over $1.3 billion in Maryland's HBCUs, which is a 60% increase from what we saw from our predecessors. It is why I signed the largest mass pardon in the history of the United States of America, granting clemency to over 175,000 misdemeanor cannabis convictions. Because you cannot celebrate the benefits of legalization if you do not address the consequences of criminalization.
So when you say something about being at the 70th anniversary of this fantastic dinner.
It's fantastic. It's an amazing organization, and to be back in Detroit has just been an absolute joy. So I'm just very, very thankful to be here to share more about what we're doing here in the state of Maryland, but that this moment really requires, and the work of repair requires an urgency that we got to push forward on.
And you do know that you will be the president of these United States one day. No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
It was great to be here in Detroit.
His award reads, James Weldon Johnson Lifetime Achievement Award presented to the Reverend Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright. For your courage, spirit, and many sacrifices, we thank you.
To the Executive Committee of the nation's largest chapter, to Pastor Wendell Anthony, to my sisters and brothers in Christ, I say unto you, as if I went by ear, Obrigado. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've honored me tremendously. A lot of young people don't understand the importance of the NAACP. I hope every young person will read the history of both the NAACP and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Those two organizations are crucial. If we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. The past. We can be empowered by the past. So it's my prayer that you will read and discover just how important the NAACP is. We lost Merle Evers. We lost Meg Evers. We lost Thurgood Marshall. But we still have Wendell Anthony. We still have the Detroit branch. And I hope if you're a citizen of Detroit, you will join the NAACP branch here in the Motor City. God bless you and God keep you.
We look at what's happened to Ebony and Jet and Essence and Black Enterprise. We look at the fact that no black network has a news show in this country. We're going to keep fighting for you, fighting for our stories, willing to tell the stories, but you've got to be willing to stand with us. And as the sister said, we will call folks out who do wrong. We will speak up for folks who do right, because we have no time for folk who sell out our community. And you're absolutely right. To the National Baptist Convention USA, to Kojic, and to the missionary, we gonna go after you for taking $300,000 from Target when we're trying to get $2 billion. If you want to sell out Black America, we gonna sit here and challenge you. And as my frat brother Vertner Woodson Tandy said, we will always fight until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on the ice.
You have a lot of fans, and on the internet, you really are a sensation because of your intellect, and that is something that speaks volumes about what people are interested in, because people, they relate to you because you're a very smart man and you do your research. And I know it's the Black Lives Matter movement, but you're also about Black media matters. Say something about
actually, but Black owned, because you have
Black owned, okay.
Yeah, because you have Black targeted, but you also have Black owned. And you know, the thing for me is that we have to have a strong Black-owned media. When you look at historically, if you talk about Frederick Douglass and Ida B. Wells Barnett, you talk about Robert Abbott, Chicago Defender, Louis Martin, the Michigan Chronicle, John Sinstack, in the history, that was because we had a thriving Black media that Black people supported. What we recognize is the attacks on Black-owned media, the stifling of resources. And so what has to happen is we've got to have our people understand that we must support our institutions. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm praying for you, oh man, keep fighting. But if you're not investing, if you're not subscribing, if you're not donating, then what are you doing? And so we have to understand that. It's a difference for us in terms of when we don't have to ask permission. I mean, tonight's a perfect example. Because I own my media company, because I control it. I mean, I sit here and again, people have to understand, you know, what these things cost. This unit right here is a perfect example. This is, people don't understand how basic it is. This is the top of the line streaming unit. Right. Every major network has this. Every local television station has one of these. It's the top of the line. But here's what people don't understand. This is $20,000. The rack unit is $40,000. That's real. And so again, perfect example. I hook it up, we stream it out. So now the nation, people around the world, were able to witness what happened tonight. Right. That's the difference between, again, when you own and control, as opposed to when you are working for somebody else and you're asking them cannot cover. And I think that's the difference. We have to understand the power of ownership.
Now, this has been a long evening, and you had an extremely long line that proves that black folks like to read, especially when, and so White Fear, let us know about White Fear and why this is a must read.
Everything you're seeing right now, I've been laying it out since 2009. I published the book in 2022. The attacks that you see happening right now on African Americans, on Latinos and others is all driven by white fear. We have to recognize that. And so I lay out in terms of what we're confronting. Everything that you're seeing happen today, I've been talking about for the past 15 plus years, and we're seeing it in real life. And so this is about getting us to understand what their agenda is, and that is to absolutely destroy and decimate the civil rights and economic rights infrastructure of Black America.
And I'm going to give the mic to you, and this is the very last thing I'm going to ask you to say, but the Spirit is telling you to say something to leave us with food for thought, as only Roland Martin can do. Take the mic, and whatever you want to say. I want you to just look in the camera and tell the audience.
It's real simple. If you are complaining, if you say you want to see change, you have to recognize that you are the person who can actually do that. Ordinary people did extraordinary things. That has been our story. And so if you're one of those folks who are sitting on the couch and you say, my vote doesn't matter, I don't want to protest, I want to check out of this process, well then you should shut the hell up, because you have to be engaged in this battle. We need troops in the battle to follow up the generals who are leading us, and that means you.
In every generation, God does the right thing. He does the right thing.
You know, it's been 70 years, and I've been to more than half of them, and Reverend Anthony just does such a tremendous job. It was a great night.
You made a point to ask people concerning membership, so let this audience know why membership is paramount, as well as why is the NAACP still relevant?
Right, it's most relevant. If you don't know it by now, you will know it when they pass the bill and when Trump takes all your rights. As I said tonight, there are people that want to put us back on the plantation. Well, I ain't going back, and I hope y'all ain't going back. The NAACP has no hands but yours, no feet but yours, no mouth but yours in terms of the people. Well, if you don't like the NAACP, join the SCLC. If you don't like them, join the National Action Network. If you don't like that, join the Urban League. You don't like that, join a union. You don't like that, join a church, a mosque, or a temple. You don't like that, join a PTA group. You don't like that, join your block club. Now, if you ain't willing to do some of that, you need to shut your mouth, sit right down, because you're talking loud, but you ain't doing nothing. We need people to do something. It's relevant because when you sleep, we working. It's relevant because we're the ones in the suites so that you can be free in the streets. It's relevant because legislation is calling us out, and the most feared and intimidated civil rights name in America is the NAACP. That's why we've been here for 116 years. That's why we're going to be here for 116 more. I wish we were not. Right. But until we who believe in freedom win, we cannot rest.
As we celebrate 70 years of this dinner, we've had a chance to talk to some outstanding people, and although the struggle continues, we have some outstanding soldiers as we continue PULSEBEAT with Greg Dunmore.
PULSEBEAT.